What up YouTube, Rashad here, back with another video. Gonna be reviewing Bowser's Fury today. This is gonna be one of my quick reviews, so not as in-depth as some of the other ones because it's a relatively quick game. Went through the game, it really only took a couple hours. It's essentially an add-on to Super Mario 3D World. Awesome game. Really love the original on the Wii U. They re-released it on the Nintendo Switch, added the Bowser's Fury to it. Let's get into it. The first thing I noticed about this game is it immediately gave me like a Mario Sunshine type of vibe because there's like some paint, some gobbledygook mess scattered all across the land, right? You run into Bowser, he goes freaking crazy on you. He just totally loses his mind and he starts blowing fire everywhere and destroying everything. He's like all extra dark and ominous looking, just looking freaking ridiculous. And essentially Bowser Jr. is like, boo-hoo, help me Mario, my daddy's whipping my ass. So you have to work with Bowser Jr., it's a two-player game, work with him and try to find a way to defeat Bowser enough times. You face him many times, you defeat him enough times, you eventually can return him to normal. I'll quickly touch on the graphics. There really isn't a whole lot going on with that. You would essentially know what to expect if you played any other Mario game. It looks basically the same. It's slightly remastered. So again, this includes 3D World, but I'm primarily only talking about Bowser's Fury. So you should assume I'm speaking of Bowser's Fury. And the graphics are basically about the same. I'll say Bowser's Fury maybe looks a little bit better because that was newly developed. And the way they made Bowser look is freaking awesome. He looks ridiculous. Otherwise, it's nothing else that you wouldn't generally expect to see with your standard run-of-the-mill Mario games, especially the more modern ones. Gameplay in the game is excellent. You essentially go around this sandbox, something really different than what you'd expect compared to the main game, Mario 3D World. In Bowser's Fury, you go around this big sandbox and you complete all these tasks collecting cat shines. And cat shines are your main collectible for Bowser's Fury. And there's a multitude of different tasks that you have to do in order to collect them. It can range from riding around on Plessie, doing races. There is catching bunny rabbits. There's combat challenges. There's your standard run-of-the-mill platforming challenges, blue coins, and a couple other unique surprises. There's even an appearance of Dark Luigi in the game. So some really interesting and cool things that you can do. And all the while, Bowser's kind of lurking in the background and eventually comes out of nowhere and just loses his mind, goes crazy on you, and starts fucking your shit up. And there's almost nothing that you can do to stop him. Some of his attacks are like completely unavoidable. It's like some of the most ridiculous stuff that I've ever seen them do in a Mario game. Is really fun and adds a lot of chaos element to what's otherwise a very easy task to complete. Most of all the tasks that I mentioned and all the tasks that exist are extremely easy and straightforward, and you can complete them like it's by snapping your fingers. You'll be having cat shines out of the wazoo in no time. Like I can assure you that if you have kids or if you're a kid watching this or something, you'll be easily able to acquire like pretty much every cat shine that exists with relative ease. So I wouldn't be concerned about any difficulty. Bowser Jr. also can help you either using the computer to essentially do a lot of the work for you, defeat enemies on your behalf, collect coins and items, you name it, he can do it, or you could have another player help you as player 2 as well. Let's touch a little more on Bowser himself. It is called Bowser's Fury after all. So Bowser will show up and he starts wreaking havoc on everything. He shows up periodically, so a length of time passes. It seems like it is time sensitive. So a length of time passes, there's kind of this ominous music that starts playing, and then like this evil Bowser shows up. It's not the regular Bowser. That's part of the story. Something's going on with Bowser, and Bowser is like taken over by this gobbledygook black stuff, right? And he shows up periodically. You eventually defeat him, and then once you defeat him, he goes away for a while. Eventually, enough time passes, he comes back again. He's got a new move, and he's more difficult and challenging, has like more health and stuff than he did the previous time. That happens multiple times. And in order to face off against him, you turn into like Super Saiyan Cat Mario or something ridiculous to face him. It's pretty over the top and really epic, and it has a really absurd and insane ending. I'm not gonna really spoil that, but it was freaking incredible to say the least. I will say that was freaking awesome. Overall, the whole Bowser's Fury element was something really unique. No idea where they got that idea from, but it worked out really well. The soundtrack in this game is really different. For some reason, it reminded me of freaking Chrono Trigger. Some of y'all, who know what that is, may think, oh, this guy's freaking crazy. But if you really listen to some of the soundtrack, especially toward the beginning, it has like this RPG type of feel. Like you're playing like a Chrono Trigger or maybe even like a Xenoblade or something type of vibe. Is definitely not like any of the previous Mario games, I can tell you that. But I liked it. It really made it feel different. Like I wasn't playing like just some sort of expansion, which is actually what it is. It's just an expansion, but it didn't feel like an expansion. It felt like a standalone entry almost. It almost makes me wish that they would have tried to flesh it out more and developed it into like its own game. Or maybe they will take some of what they're doing here and incorporate it into the next Mario game. You never know. There's a couple drawbacks to the game. I'm gonna list them out quickly for you. There is a relatively short gameplay time, maybe like 3-4 hours. Some of the tasks to get the cat shines are very repetitive tasks. They can just be going to the same area and completing a task that is only slightly different than what you did previously. And sometimes you can have to do that like 3 or 4 times within a very small confined space and area. So it really feels like they were kind of doing overkill on some of the areas and some of the resource utilization. It's a classic technique that they've done with their older games, but the tasks that you had to complete were much more involved and detailed, and they just took longer and had more things added to make it feel like you weren't essentially just going to the same place and doing almost the same thing again. I feel like if you were like a big Mario Odyssey fan and you didn't mind how simple some of the moon collecting was, like some of the moons were much more involved and some of them were just completely mundane. You know, you do this one little tiny thing and you get a moon in Mario Odyssey. There's also some transition, like visual transitions that are missing, that it feels like they just kind of missed like a little bit of polish to really take it to that next level. So, you know, they treated it like an expansion. So, albeit a good expansion, but an expansion still nonetheless. All right, the question is whether or not it's worth the $60. So there's 2 different scenarios here. First scenario, you own the Wii U, you played the game already, and Bowser's Fury is an extra incentive for you to repurchase the game again. I think that's the main reason why they included Bowser's Fury. It's for people who already played it, the original. So there's that. The second scenario is you've never played the Super Mario 3D World because you never had a Wii U, which apparently most of you haven't, since the Wii U had about 13 million sales and Nintendo Switch has like 70 million. It's a pretty big difference. Depending on which camp you're in, that's going to be your answer. If you've never played Super Mario 3D World, I would definitely say it's worth your money because you got all of Super Mario 3D World, which is an incredible game, highly underrated, probably, in my opinion, the most underrated Mario game in existence, because I love that game. and you got Bowser's Fury stacked on top of that, that's just what you call value straight up. And you got it on the go. That's kind of crazy. That's a lot of value. So I would recommend it if you never played 3D World, 100%. If you have played 3D World, probably wouldn't recommend it, because I don't think that Bowser's Fury alone and replaying the game on the go is worth an extra $60. Of course, I spent the money so I could tell you about it. But, you know, it just depends on, if you just really want to try it out, go for it. It's definitely not bad. It's pretty good. Just don't expect this fully fleshed out new Mario experience. So it's something different, but it's not fully featured 100%. I would probably rank it like around a 7 in terms of quality. So pretty good. Did not disappoint me. Didn't blow me away. You know, it's just pretty good content. So that's my thoughts on it. Please give the video a like if you enjoy the content. Subscribe for more, and share the video if you just really like sharing videos. Hardly anybody shares videos unless they're like comedy videos. But this one really wasn't much of me trying to entertain so much as me trying to inform. So I enjoyed the game, played it, enjoyed it. So hope y'all enjoy as well if you try the game out. I'll catch y'all next time. Peace.